Hi everybody, this is it, sort of, week 16. I guess I might do something for week 17 exam week. There's probably a few things I should talk about then, but this is the last week of the regular part of the semester in my last video. So I want to talk about just two things, want to keep it focused. One is just the project report and performance assessment that I'm asking you to write up. Sounds like a mouthful. It's just a memo, really, probably about a 2-page memo. I'm right here showing you the screen where the assignment is, so it's the number 3 part of the service learning assignment. So make sure you come in and check that out. I won't expect you to read it on the video. And then I've put together a little shell of an outline over here in Word, which I'll also post on Facebook, but I thought this might, or sorry, on WordPress, but I thought this might be easier to see here. And this is just again, basic memo formatting. I think everybody or almost everybody used that last time, and if you didn't, this is your chance to get it right. A little tip about memos is that they often start with a very bottom line open paragraph, and so how many points would you give yourself out of 150? What percentage out of 100% did you give in terms of effort for this assignment? And so the 150 is really out of the last 3 weeks, your execution of your plan, but the effort is over the full 7 weeks, so please comment on that. It's called the self and group assessment, and so there should be 2 sections. I've actually put the group assessment first here. I talk about describing the project, but putting the emphasis on what I couldn't see. So again, don't spend a lot of time telling me about everything that you did that I could see. Tell me about things like the meetings you had with your organizations, emails, phone calls, Twitter conversations if you had those. Talk about, I didn't put that down here, talk about the time you spent with your groups themselves, face-to-face meetings, Google Hangouts, things like that. Talk about your group dynamics so that I can get a picture of how that all played out for you. I'm also asking you to identify not only what you did and who did it, but how much work each member put in the project. And again, that's going to be from your point of view. Everybody in the class needs to write one of these memos. You don't need to share it with your group mates, although that would be a really great thing to do, and that would be a sign that your group functioned really well, is if you're all very comfortable sharing your group and self-assessment with one another. But at the very least, write it up from your point of view and share it with me. Self-assessment, you might have covered some of that excuse me, in the group assessment. There'll be a little bit of overlap there, but here's your chance to really elaborate on your work and what you learned from the project. So again, not just what you did, but what you got out of it, some things that you might have realized. And again, this isn't just about the social media component of it, but your role as a technical writer. To what extent did you find yourself being a designer, being a trainer, key concepts from Stoli, and then also what did you learn about groups and working with what I call distributed collaboration. So we didn't have a 75-minute class where you could all get together and get your work done. How did you handle that? Was that effective? Was it a problem? I had asked you or recommended you set up things like task lists and be really concrete about what everybody needed to do and when they needed to get it done. If you use those strategies, let me know if that worked for you. If you didn't use those strategies, can you see, hindsight being 20/20, how those sorts of things would have been effective? Last, one of the tricky things about memos is often how do you wrap up a memo, and memos can just end, boom, end of story. You said what you needed to say. Your end, what we would normally think of as our ending, was up here in the beginning. It was our bottom line opening paragraph. But if I noticed that a lot of students who've been writing essays for 4 or 5 years can't do that. They need a conclusion, and so if you feel like your memo needs a conclusion, please feel free to add a paragraph that talks about the assignment, gives me some feedback for next time, things I should keep doing, change, improve on. I'd appreciate that, and that would make for a good conclusion. So that's the one main thing that I wanted to cover. I hope between this document and then back on WordPress, the assignment there will give you enough sense of a structure for what I'm asking for. Again, obviously consult with your group, see how they're handling it. If you want, consult with me, ask me what you could do differently, and ask me if you'd like some feedback. So that's one. The second thing I wanted to point out is just a little concept as you're wrapping up with your groups. One of the things that occurred to me, and this wasn't obvious when I was setting up the assignment, but one of the things that occurred to me as your projects unfolded is that your groups themselves or your organizations themselves should be connected if they're not already connected. Think about social media in very specific ways. So we've got Lakes and Prairies, for example, working to reduce poverty, and while it's maybe got a Minnesota focus, it seems like that's one of theirs. It seems like that it could connect very easily to, or it's an organization that our New Sudanese Community Association should know about if they don't already know about. Also seems like an organization that Charism should know about. I should have had, let me see if I can get my Charism page up here really quickly. You know, these groups have some missions in common. They are working with some of the same demographics and people, and so think about how you can connect those. Wellspring for the World in some ways could potentially connect up to some of these groups, or certainly to the New Sudanese Community Association. Obama for America, I'm sure, is interested in reaching out. It gets a little bit trickier there. These organizations probably can't lobby Obama, but Obama might. The Obama for America Association might want to share their policies relative to things like child care, poverty reduction, share it with these specific groups. Cat's Cradle sort of living in a world of its own as far as I can tell, skyrocketing to Facebook and internet fame, but it also seems like there might be some interesting connections there to Charism. I don't know if I know that kids would probably love and going down to and spending some time with the cats. I don't know if that's feasible or not, but that sort of thing might be a possibility. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there as a way to get some closure on one strategy for getting closure on your projects, but also for seeing that they do potentially connect to one another. Maybe not all perfectly, a few certainly better than others, but that would be a nice final gift you could give to your organizations, is connecting them to other organizations that are also new to using Facebook or Twitter, probably especially Twitter in effective ways, and so they might be a little support group for themselves as they learn together how to make use of social media. I'm hoping I'm finally under a reasonable amount of time here. I really should have learned how to watch the clock more closely, get this posted, and hope you all have a good 16th week of the semester.